Well, I'm going to see if this works any better this time. Sorry about that. That's, again, part of the risks and unpredictability. I was attempting to introduce myself, and again, I've been in the behavior change business, and particularly in the corporate world, for about 20 years, and now am trying to do more to reach out directly to people, interact with you, and share my knowledge and learn from you as well. So today, for the very first time, a podcast is being launched, and I'd like to give a huge shout out to Emily Goudreau and for having her interview me for the How to Raise a Maverick podcast. I will absolutely include the link to that momentarily in the comments to this, as well as a big thank you to Erin Sell, who has been a huge help to my company Insoma with all of our social media. So she's actually the one who helped inspire me and teach me and help set me up with all the right equipment to do this sort of live casting. So big thanks. I'll also include a link to her website in the comments section here as well. So I'm Amy, in case you hadn't figured that out from my profile, and I'm really excited to be taking this risk today and putting myself out there live in front of all of you. And the topic of this podcast I was just on was teaching people how to take risks. And we went over a few very particular suggestions on some of the best ways to take those steps yourself. So I thought I would just quickly review some of the overall topics that we went into in more depth on that podcast, and then encourage you to go check out Emily's site, which is awesome, whether you have kids or not, to pick up some of the more deeper elements of it. So one of the things I talk about on that is that risk-taking in these days has kind of become equated with thrill-seeking. So you think about the Bear Grylls and the sort of novelty of some of these reality shows, and that's usually the first thing that comes to mind for most people when we think about risk, is kind of a novelty type thrill-seeking risk. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a step back and say I live in downtown Denver, and so you may hear all kinds of sirens, horns, and other urban noises going on outside. So just embrace them and know that Denver is a lively and exciting city going on out there. Anyways, so back to the topic. Yes, one of the things that these days we kind of think of risk as novelty and thrill-seeking, but really, anytime you want to change something in your life, there's a risk involved. And that can be very small changes, that can be large changes, and most of us just kind of jump into these risks and say, all right, I'm going to do this, let's see what happens. When really there is a way to do things more intentionally. And that has a lot to do with kind of preparing yourself up front. And I'm going to, again, go into a very high level of these risk-taking skill concepts, and in this particular case, both encourage you to go to Emily's podcast, as well as I will continue on this topic from week to week. The goal of this is for me to do this every Thursday right around this time. And sometimes it will just be me, and sometimes I hope to be interviewing and interacting with someone else. So, that being said, one of the first tips for learning how to be more of a sophisticated risk taker in your life is to define your measures of success, and not just define them once, but continually redefine them, because as you start to develop the strategy and learn more about what you're taking a risk on. So I'll use myself as an example. I decided just this past January that I wanted to play ice hockey, and I got on the ice the first time and fell right on my butt in the first 10 seconds. I'm not sure that's what I had defined as a successful first attempt, but I had to reevaluate and say, hey, I put on skates, I got on the ice, and that's what happened. Give myself some credit for actually taking the first step. It didn't help that our local news channel in Denver, 9 News, was there filming that day, so my first step was a little bit more public than I would have wanted, but the point of that is I really had to take a step back and say that was success. That got me to a first step place. It was a little bit messy, it was a little bit silly. I spent a lot more time putting on skates and talking to the friend I was with, and I think I was only on the ice for maybe 10-15 minutes. So that kind of leads me to my second point, is expect messiness too. So whenever you're going to take a risk, especially trying something for the first time, even if it's something small, you can't always plan for exactly what will go wrong, but you can plan for the fact that something will go wrong. Something will be a little bit goofy with it, and plan for that unexpectedness. And that might be by planning more time, planning more resources, or, and my third point, planning to have somebody there to talk about it with afterwards. So luckily I had this friend with me after my beautiful Icecapade event and was able to go across to the beer tent. We happened to be at a Christkindl market, a German holiday market. Go across to the beer tent and say, okay, I need some Glühwein and I need to process what just happened. So taking a risk is not just about the action, but it's about how it made you feel. What did you learn from it? What did you like? What didn't you like? I didn't particularly like being on camera while that happened, but what I did like was that at the point of doing this, the feeling I got from skating on the ice, from feeling almost like I was flying, from feeling powerful and free in that moment. So there was enough about it that I could sit there and identify to make me want to do it again. But I also learned from some of the things that didn't go so well, and maybe I wanted to go to a little bit more private rink, maybe go with somebody who could kind of help me. I subsequently ended up working with a skating coach and taking steps and meeting some wonderful people, building a network that could help me take these types of risks and learn from them. So just to do a quick high-level recap of the topic and the three main points that I wanted to emphasize on this is, number one, I'm taking a risk right now, and this definitely felt a little bit scary, and my internet went out the first time I tried it. So, you just got to do it. You just got to try, take a first step, and having people to support you doing this is super important. So again, Erin and Emily, huge thank you to helping push me to do this. I'll put the links to them in the comments. You want to define realistic measures of success. So for me today, getting on here, saying anything at all, saying hi to all you people. I'm seeing a bunch of friends who've joined that I haven't connected much with recently, so that's super cool to me that this is a success. Just seeing your names pop up, Allison and Brian and Jay, I feel like on Romper Room. I see you in my magic mirror. So this has been really cool. I would consider this a success. I did it. I got the stuff working. Hopefully you can hear me as well. And allowing yourself to make a mess and having people there to process it with afterwards. So lots more depth on this topic, but I know that we all have limited time in our lives and we all tend to process things in smaller bites, especially these days. Thanks, Jay, for letting me know. Appreciate that. So I'm going to keep this short, and I'm going to put the link to the podcast, which is about 25 minutes or so. And although that is more focused on parents teaching their children to take risks, I feel that most of the topics in there are perfectly applicable to ourselves as well. So thanks again for everybody. If you want to see this from the beginning, I will keep this out there on Facebook so you can rewatch it, because I know some of you have joined later in my ramblings here. If you want to check out my company, we are Ensoma at ensoma.createjoy.com. I'll put that in the link as well, because I know remembering stuff is not super fun. So it's so nice to see that you all have joined. I'm going to keep it short today because this is all new to me, and I will plan on being here right around this time next week as well. Now I have to figure out how to stop this thing. So hello from Denver, and great to see you all. Bye until next time.